Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and of course, continuing on with Musical Movie Week. That's right, so only 2 more left, and now we come to the second to last musical film that I'm reviewing, part of Musical Movie Week. Yes, and as I teased in the last review video, this one piece of a musical film, yeah, I'll go ahead and say it, because, I didn't know what to expect with this. Yeah, because this was an interesting, musical film, and whom directed this, and for this having a really good cast, and as I teased, this musical featuring Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman. Yeah, and yep, you read the title, and if any of you knew what I was teasing, and by mentioning those 2 names, that's right, I'm reviewing from 2001, Moulin Rouge. Yes, Moulin Rouge, directed by the one and only Baz Luhrmann. Yeah, first off, yeah, let's mention Baz Luhrmann, because Baz Luhrmann, he's a very interesting, visionary filmmaker. Just the style that he has to these movies that he does, and if any of them that have, like, music and musicals to them, songs, you know what I mean? You've seen the other movies that he's done, like the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, and, well, most notably, Elvis, yeah. And by the way, and keep in mind, Moulin Rouge is Baz Luhrmann's 3rd movie that he's directed, and it's funny when you realize that before he did Moulin Rouge, the previous film that he did, and which being his 2nd film, was another movie adaptation of Romeo and Juliet that had Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and that one getting very mixed. But sure enough, and a couple of years later, Baz Luhrmann would have another movie of his where, yeah, he recuperated, I guess, from how very mixed Romeo and Juliet turned out. His adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, his take on it, best way to put at it. And yeah, because when Moulin Rouge came out, and by the way, because it came out a couple of months after I was born, because I'm a February baby, and, all of you knowing when Moulin Rouge came out, yeah, and for me to finally watch this, again, I didn't know what to expect with this. I, of course, was well aware of who directed it, who all starred in it, and, this being a musical, but God, with what this musical film, this, musical movie adaptation of Moulin Rouge had to offer and such, and what was in it, hard to believe for me, because I tell you, I really enjoyed this. It was, it's unlike any other musical film that I've seen. One of them, I should say. So, alright, but enough said. As always, read the description / the story. A young Englishman in Paris of 1899 infatuated, I might have gotten that one word right, with Satine, a singer at the Moulin Rouge. However, she has been promised by the manager to a duke in return for funding his next production. As the young lovers meet in secret, Satine's wedding day draws closer, but she hides a fatal secret from both Christian and the duke. Okay, so Moulin Rouge itself, yeah, because, again, just what I didn't know what to expect. I can tell, from right away, because, it starts off being sad, and then, it goes to some funny stuff, and then, yeah, I just didn't really know what to expect with so much emotion in this. Seriously. The opening to the film, pretty interesting. I didn't expect this, because it opens with curtains, and the conductor conducting the orchestra playing the 20th Century Fox fanfare. And yeah, we of course get the 20th Century Fox logo, and then we proceed on with what it is on the screen, which being Moulin Rouge. And, like, the first bit of singing, I realized and knew right away, okay, because now I get it, because, you know, the whole thing of, you know, there was a young fellow, a very strange, you know, how he sings it, because, I hate to say it, but it's true. I learned about this because I realized because a reference to Moulin Rouge in A Very Merry Muppet Christmas. Okay? I said it, so yeah. Well, not to mention, A Very Merry Muppet Christmas came out just a year after Moulin Rouge, and already, because they... A Very Merry Muppet Christmas, they did a little bit of a reference and parody to Moulin Rouge, because with the sets they had on stage and some of the wardrobe they had on, and, like, most notably, Fozzie Bear, so, anyways. So in Paris, which, you know, we first see Paris in 1900, and we get... you know, one of our main characters, Christian, being played by good old Obi-Wan himself, young Obi-Wan, I should say, Ewan McGregor. So he plays Christian, and he's a writer, and him living in Paris, and in 1900, right at the start of the new century, him living in Paris, and there's one part in Paris which, you know, being referred to as the underworld, and in the underworld are remains of what used to be, well, the Moulin Rouge, and that's an interesting way to start. Like, what the heck happened? And what's wrong with Christian? Because he's very depressed, and, well, on his typewriter, he's about to write a story, and, well, you know, for us audiences, like, you know, what this story is that he's typewriting, and thus we get into this story, and which actually took place just over a year ago when he first arrived at Paris in 1899. You know, him moving in, and I think he's very close to, well, the apartment building that he's staying at, very close to Moulin Rouge, living in part of Paris in the underworld, even, like, there's, like, a very few flashbacks of, you know, Christian's father just, you know, very upset over his son moving to Paris and such, and warning him on so much, including love. And Christian's father being played by Arthur Dignam, if I'm even saying the last name right. Again, you know me sometimes. So him moving into Paris, and doesn't take him too long to know some people in Paris, because up top where he's living, because, you know, the ceiling breaks, and we see these colorful characters. They're trying to create some lyrics and some music, and Christian actually helping them out, and he's responsible for helping them create the lyrics to "The hills are alive with the sound of music." Yeah, in Moulin Rouge, that's where the birth of Sound of Music began. Well, I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened in reality, so I don't see why not. You know, I should know that. You know, and it doesn't take too long for these colorful group of characters to befriend Christian, and one of the other main characters and who befriends Christian, Toulouse-Lautrec, if I'm saying the last name right, who's a dwarf, and he's played by good old John Leguizamo. Yeah, and fun fact, I just feel like mentioning this, John Leguizamo, while he was in Australia doing Moulin Rouge, because yeah, I mean, not only was this movie done at the 20th Century Fox Studios, but also at Australia, John Leguizamo had basically recorded a demo tape of him trying to come up with different voices for Sid the Sloth, for what would become, a year after Moulin Rouge, another film by 20th Century Fox, Ice Age. Yeah, and I'm sure maybe some of you know about this, and if you've had the 2-disc DVD of Ice Age, So, yeah, I'm sure some of you do. So I thought I'd mention that. Why not? So yeah, John Leguizamo, because he plays this dwarf character. That's pretty funny, because, like, they couldn't get an actual dwarf person. I'm just saying, and yeah, because it kind of did pop in my head at one point, like, really? Because John Leguizamo is playing a dwarf character? Would that be kind of an issue or something? I mean, like, take, for example, Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just, because it did occur to me. But I think, yeah, at the same time, no problem with John Leguizamo and the character that he plays. And he does pretty well. He does pretty well portraying a dwarf person. And, and Toulouse, yeah. Toulouse, like, there's another character named Toulouse that I can think of from the Aristocats. Him being a very good friend to Christian, even when he's trying to convince Christian about Satine very later on in the movie. Okay, and some of the other characters, along with Toulouse, like, there's the unconscious Argatini, if I'm even saying that right. It should be so easy to say, but I can't remember. You know me sometimes. Him being played by Jacket Coleman. I think that sounds about right. Yeah, Coleman I got. There's also Satie being played by Matthew Whittet, and and also a bunch of others, like, there's the China doll, played by Natalie Mendoza, if I'm even saying that right. Nene Legs in the Air, being played by Carolyn O'Connor. Arabia, being played by Christian Anu, and and I think, there's also Audrey, being played by David Wenham, and there's Mom Formage, being played by Laura Mullicky, if I'm even saying that right. Again, you know me sometimes. So again, just like, these group of interesting characters who befriend Christian, and even a moment where, because this also, I get it now, and because, thanks to A Very Merry Muppet Christmas, the Green Fairy, because they've had too many shots, and they're just imagining seeing the Green Fairy. The Green Fairy was played by Kylie Minogue, I might be saying her last name right, but you know who I'm talking about. And apparently, I didn't realize this, the Green Fairy, the voice for the Green Fairy was Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, so not that I'm complaining, but that's interesting. I didn't realize, and I didn't identify and realize that was the voice of Ozzy Osbourne, and I didn't realize that the Green Fairy was dubbed. All right, but anyways, so continuing on, because at one point they make their way to the Moulin Rouge, and basically, because, like, them trying to, get into the business of the Moulin Rouge, and Christian tagging along with them, one of the main people running the Moulin Rouge, obviously just one. Why am I saying one of the people? Harold Zidler, I hope I'm saying the last name right. Yeah. Harold Zidler, being played by good old Jim Broadbent, who's appeared in so many. He's a good British actor. So he runs the Moulin Rouge, and basically Moulin Rouge, in this one part of Paris, France, in the underworld, the Moulin Rouge does a lot of can, basically. And, oh my gosh, like, this whole sequence where, we first see the inside of the Moulin Rouge, and with, one or two song numbers that happen when we first are in the Moulin Rouge, just so much dancing and can happening, oh my gosh. And at one point, we then get the introduction, and her act begins, Satine, being played by Nicole Kidman. Yep, so her is stepping in, and turns out because she is supposed to meet with the Duke, even Toulouse, told Christian that that Christian was going to meet Satine. And just behind them, because they were sitting at table booths, right behind Christian and his friends, is the Duke, and the Duke being played by Richard Roxburgh, if I'm saying the last name right. Yeah. So, and basically, yeah, if you didn't realize, and if you did immediately, because the Duke is obviously the main antagonist of this film, and I should have seen it coming because, well, he was supposed to meet Satine, but then with Christian meeting Satine, and basically because and obviously I were to assume that maybe because, like, Harold Zidler is supposed to be the father of Satine, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't think the movie really establishes it. I mean, I feel like they're probably related, like, father and daughter, and we see Harold's wife, and, well, I were to assume she's Satine's mother. So, yeah, basically Harold telling Satine that, well, because, she is supposed to meet the Duke, and she mistakens by seeing Christian. She thinks Christian is the Duke, but he's not. And of course, what happens next is, well, she does approach Christian, and yeah, that's when she mistakenly meets Christian, and they're supposed to have a private meeting and such. Yeah, and just like, part of the first act, like, just things get crazy, and just things are happening just so fast here and there. I mean, I'm not complaining and such. It's pretty good, but at the same time, just, oh my gosh, one of those moments. So, yeah, I'm continuing on and to speed things up, because, yeah, Satine and Christian meeting in this room that they're in, that she's in, I guess I would assume her dressing room, and basically Satine trying to seduce Christian. And, again, she thinks Christian's the Duke. And Christian, what he wants to do is, do poetry. But, Satine thinking of it the other way around. And she wants Christian, the Duke, as she thinks who it is, to make love to her. And Christian is just like, what? And you can tell. And, and even, like, say, Christian's friends, Toulouse, like, they're, like, watching and peeping and seeing what's going on, and at one point they do make love and such, on the bed, and Toulouse noticing this, and he has a huge, like, talent, however Toulouse says it. I've heard that audio clip before, so now I know where it comes from. Yeah, things just get really crazy. And then, like, at one point, like, this craziness comes to an end, even when Satine is going a bit crazy, just, rolling around the floor, and, like, she does want to hear the poetry that Christian says. And then, at one point, it all comes to a stop when Christian starts to sing. And, well, this song, about her, and, Satine is really starting to love it. And at first, things seem to really hit off between Satine and Christian, but she, of course, does find out, and, Christian telling her that, well, he's not the Duke, he's just a rider, and she's just shocked and surprised by this, and sure enough, the actual Duke's stepping in, and Satine trying to hide Christian from being seen from the Duke, and, at times, like, oh, he's gonna see him, but no, it's working out fine, even when, because, the Duke's right-hand, like, bald guy, I want to say, is right outside of the door, so, and there's no way for him to get out of there, so, yeah, and so he's basically just stuck in there until, well, Satine, well, pretending to, seduce the Duke and such, and at one point getting him to leave her room and such, and, well, because now, he can make his way out of there. But then at one point, because, yeah, Satine, yeah, she did kind of, like, faint or something, and that's the thing, because at one point early on in the Moulin Rouge, and with her singing and dancing, well, at one point she passed out, and we find out that sooner or later, and whenever this is going to happen, well, she is sick, and she will eventually die. And I don't know, I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if the movie, I would have noticed this and have heard them say it, but I don't think it's ever established what she was diagnosed with. Maybe, but I can't remember, and it's really never really brought up a lot. If it had been, I'm just saying, but yeah, it's it's unfortunate, and, well, because we know so far that, well, Christian and Satine, they won't be together that long, because at some point she will die. But with that, well, if that wasn't enough, having to deal with the Duke and just making things worse, and especially for Satine. And, well, the fact that Satine cannot say anything about her dying, actually, because, Harold Zidler and his wife, they know that she's sick. And, well, they know she's sick, but they also know that she's dying. But she doesn't know at first that she is going to die at some point. Okay, so, yeah, just to still speed things up, because, sure enough, the Duke coming back into her room and him discovering that, well, Christian is there, and it doesn't take too long for, them, but also Toulouse and the others to step in and to trick the Duke into, telling him that they're performing a play and such. And even Harold, he noticed this by looking through a telescope and seeing, the Duke and a bunch of others, in the room, and him stepping in and Satine having Harold play along with this, to trick the Duke. And it doesn't take him too long to, well, play along with this and to tell the Duke that they are performing a play and such, and they would want him to fundraise this and so on. And them just performing and, coming up with the story, even the Duke asking questions about the story, what it would be like and what happens, and at the end, and all of them just performing. And it's basically like the play that they, just all out of the blue are coming up with and such is about, well, basically to put at it, it's all like Arabian themed and such, best way to put at it. And, and this, princess, I want to say, because, whom she, falls in love with and, is going to marry, one thing about, the Maharaja and such, yeah, and her not choosing the Maharaja. And the Duke, because, yeah, just, he just kind of goes along with this. But at one point, because, well, that was a relief for Satine and Christian and the others. What happens next is, well, because, Satine and Christian, because, they start to think about one another, but Satine, she's trying to not give in, I guess, and, not falling in love, and Christian, showing up because he was on the other side, and, well, because in his apartment building, and coming to see Satine once again, and singing to her yet another song, All You Need Is Love, and, talking to her about love, and love being very important, but to her, because, pretending to be in love, and, acting and such, and her wanting to be an actress, yeah. But sure enough, and as the song proceeds, Satine and Christian, because them, of course, really falling in love, and, well, because they have to keep their love a secret, from most everybody, including especially the Duke. What happens next with the Duke, well, he will do and, fundraise and making this play happen if the deed to Moulin Rouge is given to him. He owns Moulin Rouge, and also have Satine be with him. That's part of the deal that he makes with Harold, and thus that's what happens. And throughout the film, just, them, proceeding on, making this play, but still, at times, Christian and Satine trying to keep their love a secret, and even when Harold at one point found out about Satine and Christian's love affair, and, basically, warning her about what could happen and such, and still, for the Duke not to know about this, even at one point, she was supposed to meet with the Duke at 8, but for Christian, she was supposed to meet with Christian to still rehearse and such by 8 o'clock. Both, for her being with Christian and the Duke at 8, and, that being very tough on her. And still, the fact that she cannot, let Christian know that she is sick, And, well, still, Harold and the others, and, from the doctors and nurses, they know that she's going to die at some point, and that's kept from her later on until, very later on in the film. So, yeah, and still, again, them just practicing and rehearsing, and the Duke still asking some questions, and he doesn't like the ending to the play, and he suggests that it should be the Maharaja that, the part that Satine plays should be with. Yeah. Yeah, just at times, the struggles that Christian and Satine have with their love affair, and when at one point, because, she was supposed to meet with the Duke, and for good reasons, even though, Christian not knowing about this and him being upset, and how he's slowly but surely experiencing this, and Satine tells her not to give in. Jealousy. Yeah, even the Duke having jealousy as well between Satine and Christian, but little does he know that they actually have a love affair. So when she was going to meet the Duke, well, she yet again passed out because of her sickness. And a couple of other characters that do help out Christian at times, one of them being, Le Chocolat, being played by Deobia Apari, if I'm saying his full name right. So him at times helping out Satine. Yeah, and so I think, because that's when the news breaks to Harold and his wife, from the doctor being played by Gary McDonald, that, with her being sick, but she will, at some point, die, and again, this being kept from Satine. So because she was supposed to meet with the Duke, but unfortunately she collapsed because of her sickness, Harold making an excuse to the Duke of why she has not been present, and thus another song number, and about, Satine, for that matter, and Christian, because he wondered where she was and why she didn't show up at 8 o'clock, and her telling him that, because she got sick, and he doesn't want her to lie, because he doesn't want to get the feeling that she's lying, but, the fact she isn't, and, it's tough for her just to keep this from Christian, because she doesn't want him to really be worried about this. And to speed things up, because, with the play going on, and, at some point, because the Duke does find out about the love affair between Satine and Christian, even before that, because, with the play still being rehearsed and such, and with the Duke wanting to, he's wanting the ending to be with the part that Satine plays, being married to the Maharaja, and then Christian almost blew it, because when the Duke is wondering why, the part that Satine plays, the character that she plays, the role, doesn't want to marry the Maharaja, and Christian letting out, because she doesn't love you! Him. I meant him. She doesn't love him. So, and then at one point, she's yet again supposed to meet with the Duke, and by meeting the Duke, this will save them, as well as Moulin Rouge and with the play, if she goes along with what the Duke is wanting, because the Duke, wanting Satine to be with him, and Christian just growing more upset and jealous, and, because, from up atop one of those buildings, and, them stepping out on, top of the balcony, the Duke can see Christian down there, and with, her looking down, and them singing, and, she made a promise to Christian, that, she'll love him, that they'll both love each other till the end of time. And the Duke, of course, like I said, finding out about this, and him growing in complete rage. And it just gets intense from everybody singing, even when at one point, because the unconscious Argentini, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing that, but you know, him, starts to have everybody else like perform something new. It's about, you know, this prostitute and such, and being with, you know, someone, just, yeah. So with that going on, just so much happening until, because with the madness that's happening, it does come to an end when Le Chocolat steps in and actually knocks out the Duke, helping out Satine. Yeah, because he saved her. And then, because, you know, she returns back to Christian, and she couldn't handle it anymore, pretending to the Duke that she, you know, her being with him and just, you know, feeling so bad for Christian. And that's when, you know, Christian decides that they will leave and, you know, forget about the play and such, because love is all that matters, and they have each other. And, you know, this could be their chance to get out of there. But because the Duke found out, he threatens Harold and everybody else that, you know, he wants to see Christian be gone, Satine, never to see him again. If not, then Christian will be killed. And of course, they don't want Christian to be killed, and neither does Satine. And they don't want Christian to know about this. It's really sad. Yeah, and only a few know. Yeah, not, I don't think, yeah, not Christian's friends at first, you know, most notably Toulouse. And, well, Satine, as much as it breaks her heart to do this, you know, she has no choice to keep Christian alive. The one man that she really, by this point, truly loves. You know, telling her, she tells him that they can never see each other again. And it leads to Christian believing that, well, she in fact pretended to love him and all that, like it was said at the, you know, at the start, and how she was at first, until she then, her eyes were opened and she did fall in love with Christian. She became a much better woman, and for Christian. And it's thanks to Christian. You know, if it had been for him, just, yeah. And again, this breaking Christian's heart, little does he know. And eventually, she is told, and because at one point she doesn't want to do this anymore, but Harold, you know, he then has to break the news to Satine that she will die. And that just, golly, that makes it just completely worse for poor Satine. And thus, well, the play does proceed. The show must go on, as they say, and a little song number, and where, you know, they sing "The show must go on." Christian, because, you know, he was soon about to leave, and, well, because, you know, he would not be killed if he had left, but, you know, just wanted to return the paycheck and such, payback and such to Satine, and he, by this point, wanted to know the truth. Even Toulouse, he really felt, and he can tell, because that Satine really loved Christian, but Christian just being blinded by betrayal and thinking that he was betrayed by Satine, whom he really loved. And just, you know, I think it's obvious, like, giving up on love. And then, yeah, it's really sad. And by the way, I'll go ahead and say this, that there were times, while watching Moulin Rouge, I was feeling the power and emotion in this, and there were maybe, I think, one or two moments where I was this close to actually, you know, being teary-eyed, but not even, okay? Moulin Rouge almost got me. It for sure did. Not to mention because while watching Moulin Rouge, I couldn't help but think of my beloved fiancé. Yeah, so... yeah, and so again, with the play proceeding on, and the ending that the Duke wanted to see with the role that, slash part that Satine plays, you know, being and marrying the Maharaja, which really, because, you know, when you look at that, because, like, you know, the Maharaja is the Duke, while the other thing, because, you know, being Christian, you know what I mean? Because with the play, very clever, very clever. And so, yeah, Christian coming back, and, well, little does he realize, and Satine knows, of course, you know, that he's gonna be killed if he doesn't leave and such, but he wants to know the truth. He wants to know the truth from Satine. And, of course, the Duke realizing that he's back, and even Toulouse sees that Christian's back, and he can see that, well, Christian is about to be killed. he realizes this. Toulouse realizes what's going on, and he's trying to warn Christian. And even though Toulouse is soon gonna be on stage for his part, so yeah. And just things getting really intense until, accidentally, because along with Satine, Christian stepping out in front of all the audience, and, and also the Duke, and, Harold, who play his part in this is the Sultan, and him just, going along with this and trying to keep the show going. The show must go on. And, well, Christian, he's not going along and being a part of the play, because just returning, like, the money and paycheck and such to Satine, because he's done with Satine. He's done with her. If only he would have known, and he wouldn't have acted like this. But sure enough, Satine, she can't do this anymore. She has to tell the truth to Christian, and with another song number. And still, like, Christian still, like, with this, like, that it's gonna happen. Like, he's gonna get killed, and he's at times this close about to be killed, even with the Duke's right-hand guy, trying to pull the trigger on Christian. But sure enough, Toulouse and the others, they do help out Christian. They help out their friend, of course. Nice to see, preventing him being shot. And yeah, it's working. And even when at one point, because actually, the Duke was at one point about to leave the theater, and then the gun, because it landed on the floor and it slided straight at him, and the Duke was about to shoot and pull the trigger on Christian, but of course, it should have been obvious that, he wasn't going to die. And seeing as how, in the opening and at times throughout this movie, we see Christian 1 year after what happened in this movie in 1899, that he was alive and well, and he was writing the story of what happened during his experience at the Moulin Rouge and with Satine. So we know that, of course, he can't be killed. And it was nice to see Harold. He took a punch at the Duke, because, I think by now he's had it with the Duke, and thus the Duke technically being defeated, and in the end, not killing Christian and getting Satine. And, well, the performance / the play finally comes to an end, and with a standing ovation, and the curtains closing, and sure enough, when things were looking good now for Christian and Satine, she then is about to die. She collapses, Christian catching her, and he can understand what's going on, and because she was coughing blood, he gets it now. He now knows, and calling for help, like, get a medical doctor and so on, but time's running out. By this point, it's too late, and Satine, saying how much he loves Christian, and even convincing and encouraging Christian to write and to, get their story out there, and even saying to Christian that she'll always be with him. And just, it's so heart-wrenching and just so powerful. And just knowing how much she really loves him and their love, and then she dies, and it's so gut-wrenching. After all that they went through, and of course it was going to happen, and it did, that she dies. And after she died, and I were to assume that, this with her death, this closed the doors on the Moulin Rouge. And the Duke, well, we do see him stepping outside, and he just, is calmly walking off, did he ever go to jail? I mean, we never know. But still, technically, he did get defeated. So, and little if he knew, because of what was going on with the Satine, and that she was going to die. So, he wouldn't have gotten her anyways. And so again, 1 year after what happened in 1899, and with the death of Satine, the doors were closed on the Moulin Rouge. It became a it became a wreckage, and it was left in ruins. And, Christian still living in Paris, and in the apartment building that he had lived in since, 1 year ago. And, well, I think, yeah, by this point, he really officially starts to write his and Satine's story. Well, actually finishing it, I should say, about love and, the end. And then, as it started at the opening, because, the same singer, up top of like a windmill, there was a strange young fellow, that whole thing. And with the curtains closing, and with the conductor, yeah, nice way to end it off. How it started at the beginning and at the end. Yeah. I don't know what to say, because it kind of ended on a happy, but at the same time, a very sad note. Most notably, a sad note. I mean, one thing about it having a happy ending is, well, yeah, Christian did survive and such, and by this point, he just, starting to write his and Satine's story. Yeah, but on the sad note, well, because Satine, the love of Christian's life, dying. But, just like what Satine said, she would always be with him, even after death. So, yeah. And that was a great way to end Moulin Rouge. Not to mention, Moulin Rouge is dedicated to Baz Luhrmann's father, because Baz Luhrmann's father died literally the first day when Moulin Rouge began filming. And yeah, because, well, his father died in 1999. Well, that's when production began, and filming, that is, for Moulin Rouge. So yeah, but it's nice to see, and because Moulin Rouge, again, this being Baz Luhrmann's third movie being dedicated to his late father. Yeah. And then there's like an ending quote right as the credits finish, a story about, truth and then, of course, about love. That was a great way to end it. Yeah. With that ending quote right after the credits. Yeah. There has never been a musical film, I should say, like Moulin Rouge. You get my point. Okay, now, let's come to the songs. Yeah. There were some pretty good songs. Like there was, Nature Boy. Yeah, because, a very strange nature boy. Yeah, the word nature. Le Compliment de la Butte. Pardon how I try to pronounce these words, like in French and in other languages. Children of the Revolution, The Sound of Music. Yeah, because The Sound of Music and how it was created, the birth of The Sound of Music. Children of the Revolution, reprised of it, different version. And there's also music pieces and, like, Zilder's Rap, Sparkling Diamonds, Diamond Dogs, and Rhythm of the Night, and there's also Your Song. Yep, Your Song that Ewan McGregor performs, and, of course, Christian singing that for Satine. Yep, Your Song. I think that was a pretty good one. And Meet Me in the Red Room, pretty good too. And there was also, once again, Children of the Revolution. There's also The Pitch Melody, One Day I'll Fly Away, Love is Like Oxygen, and Love is in a Many Splendored Thing. I hope I've said that right. Gorky, Elephant, Love Melody, Come What May. Yeah, that's a good one too, very important, Come What May. Like a Virgin, yeah, because with, Zilder and the Duke, because, they, Zilder starting to sing Like a Virgin, and this has to do with Satine. There's also El Tango de Roxanne, it's a melody. Fool to Believe. Yeah, that was a pretty good one, too. Sung by both Nicole Kidman and Jim Broadbent. And there's also The Show Must Go On, like I mentioned, where, yeah, the show must go on, despite things going downhill and such, and for both Satine and Christian. And little does Christian know, and Satine trying to protect Christian. And there's also the Hindi Sad Damons, if I said that right. Nature Boy, another rendition of Nature Boy. Because We Can, yep. And Let me see, because, yeah. And, yeah, a bunch of other, like, you know, music pieces, like, you know, musical score features parts of Golden Bowels, Tangaroo, and, if I said that right, The Lonely Goat Third, Ballet des Flacons de Niagara, yeah, Vivo, yeah. But overall, because, yeah, these songs in Moulin Rouge, they're really good. If I have to choose, like, which one are some of my favorites, good question. Well, I think What Comes to May is a pretty good one. And obviously, there's also Your Song, and, you know, the other song that, Christian sings to Satine, and with, you know, starting with "All you need is love." Yeah, that's the only bit of clip I had seen from Moulin Rouge, because, you know, I actually hadn't seen any clips and such, watch any clips of Moulin Rouge, nor the trailers. Yeah, but now I'm glad that I finally have watched Moulin Rouge, and again, I can't believe how amazing this musical film is. Also, if there's any other songs that I enjoyed, well, Fool to Believe and The Show Must Go On were pretty good ones, and Nature Boy, and, yeah, Children of the Revolution, because it was sang multiple times in this movie, you know, from, like, say, you know, McGregor and Nicole Kidman and all the others who sang it. Yeah. Yeah, just overall, the songs for Moulin Rouge, they were good, and how, of course, you know, when it comes to musical films, and if I've said this before or not, because how they play an important part in these movies, and they tell the story, and any situation, and what exactly is going on at that moment. You see? Just, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so, Moulin Rouge, what a fantastic musical film this is, done by the one and only Baz Luhrmann. And again, this being his third film, that's amazing. Like, Baz Luhrmann has, you know, he hasn't directed that many movies. And if you look at, you know, his list of films that he's directed, you know, especially, like, you know, any of you that have IMDb, yeah, like me, because you would see that. It's hard to believe, just, you know, and for this being his third movie, and, yeah, even after that, because he wouldn't direct another movie for quite a while, because after this, he would go on to direct a movie where he would reunite with Nicole Kidman, and this time, Hugh Jackman would also star with Nicole Kidman in Australia. So yeah, there's another good movie that Baz Luhrmann did. And also, nice to see that, yeah, because it won... And nice to see, because, you know, it won some awards, like, you know, for example, the Oscars. It only won 2 Oscars. One for Best Art Direction and Set Direction, and for Best Costume Design. Just those 3. Like, it was nominated for Best Picture. Could you imagine if it won Best Picture? And I remember, because Nicole Kidman, you know, she was nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role, but Halle Berry, she won for Best Actress in a Leading Role, as we all know, and that being her first win/nomination for Monsters Ball, and yeah, well-deserved. And yeah, nice to see, because Nicole Kidman, she got nominated, and, you know, other nominations that it got: Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, and Best Makeup, and Best Sound Design. Yeah, because everything about that, you know, and with those nominations, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and also, I'm pretty sure, I don't see why not, you know, there are those that probably did, you know, do not get in. Yeah, and also, I'm pretty sure, and this especially goes to my mom, shout out to my mom, some, like my mom, that, you know, didn't get into Moulin Rouge. I mean, yeah, I mean, not everybody is gonna get into every single musical, and even, like, you know, any musical being turned into, you know, movie adaptations, you know what I mean? Moulin Rouge, for example. So, yeah. But for me, I really enjoyed Moulin Rouge. Again, I didn't know what to expect, and I just mind blown by what was in Moulin Rouge from beginning to end. The story was pretty good, the songs really good too, the casting and the characters, some funny moments here and there, especially from Toulouse and all those others, and the emotional moments, powerful, very powerful, and how things are getting really intense, and very soon, especially for Satine, that she is going to eventually die, and which she does. And, because we had gotten the entire story sometimes narrated by, Christian, because, where this movie began, and now we know at the very end, and where he is now at, and when he did, of course, finally write his and Satine's story. Just so good, so good. Just everything about Moulin Rouge, it did not disappoint for me. I really enjoyed it. It's a pretty good musical film, and I'm giving Moulin Rouge, well, what the heck? 10 out of 10 stars. That's right, 10 out of 10 stars for Moulin Rouge. And what about you guys? What did you think of Moulin Rouge itself? Is it one of your favorite musical films? And any of you that got to see this on stage / Broadway, is it in your top favorite musicals and musical films also? Which were some of your favorite songs? Were you moved by what was in Moulin Rouge? Did you get a couple of laughs for, because of some of the funny moments in Moulin Rouge, and just all this pacing, just everything just happening, and the intenseful moments, because I was feeling it in me when those intenseful moments were happening, and towards the end, when all of it came to an end, just everything about Moulin Rouge. What did you think about it, and with what I've had to say, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Moulin Rouge. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. And there's one more musical film for me to review, part of Musical Movie Week. Stay tuned later tonight, where the next / last musical film that I'll be reviewing, well, because this being, of course, very different than, say, what I didn't expect from, Moulin Rouge. The next one, totally not what I was expecting, because, this one musical film starring Renee Zellweger and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I'm sure some of you probably know what it is. Stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out.